So now some of those who are watching this vodcast might wondering why the President of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe is talking to the President of the Court of Human Rights. What is the relation between the two bodies?
Oh, the two bodies are two central bodies of the Council of Europe, the oldest true European organization, and the one bringing together 46 member states. It's different from the European Union, for example, who many people...
Thanks for mentioning it.
Yes.
We try to make our work visible and to make people understand that it is different to speak about the Council of Europe and the European Council. But of course there is a relation which is for long, and the one body does not exist with the other body.
Absolutely so, absolutely so. For example, it's your body electing the judges of the European Court of Human Rights.
Yes.
And on our side, we adjudicate on applications that people lodge with our court.
And it is a tough procedure to elect the judges. As far as I remember, every country should point out 3 candidates at least, and then there is a committee in the Council of Europe Assembly which will decide if the 3 are accepted, and then we come to the Parliamentary Assembly, and the parliamentarians are voting whom they would choose as a judge representing a country. So we have 1 judge per 1 country.
Indeed, and as you have just described, people watching this can see that it's quite difficult to become a judge of the European Court of Human Rights.
Yes. On the other hand, which is very important in my opinion, is that you are being elected for 9 years. No parliamentarian can be here for 9 years. It is not forbidden, but most often, usually, parliamentarians are elected in their national parliaments and then appointed to the Council of Europe. It is rare to find parliamentarians who are in the Council of Europe for a long time, but you are here for a long time, meaning that you are totally independent. We may elect you, we may select and elect you, but you are totally independent from the Council of Europe and, of course, from the PACE, the Parliamentary Assembly.
Yes, this is true. This is a prerequisite for the rule of law at the level of the Council of Europe. But we are also independent from our respective countries. For example, I was elected in respect of Slovenia, but I do not represent the Slovenian government on the court.
This is very important to be said, because it is something that people are confused on what a judge is doing and why a judge is being selected by a country, and if he or she represents the country. So the judge does not represent the country is represented in the court as it is represented by parliamentarians in the assembly, but the judge is free to decide in cases which may consider cases from his country, from his mother country. I mean, if you have a judge who comes from Greece or from Slovenia, is he involved in cases concerning Greece or Slovenia?
Yes.
Or Slovakia, or Albania, or France?
Indeed. When it comes to a case which is presented before a chamber of 7 judges, or before the Grand Chamber of 17 judges, which is the biggest judicial composition of this court, there the national judge needs to sit. For example, if there's a chamber Slovenian case, I need to sit on that case, or the Grand Chamber case too. This is not true for single judge cases. There the rule is just the opposite. So I could never be single judge for a Slovenian case. Rather, I was single judge for some time for Hungarian cases, and I have nothing to do with Hungary as such.
Okay. All these years, because you are here for almost more than 9 years. Am I right?
The whole term
the
is
whole
9
term,
years.
yes.
I'm here
But
now
you
for
personally
8 years.
are
8 years.
here for 8 years, and you will stay for 1 more year as a president, since you were elected as a president.
Yes.
How do you elect your president?
Judges elect their president amongst themselves.
Okay, so the 46 elect 1 as a president. There are 2 vice presidents, and this is it?
Well, the court is divided into 5 sections, examining chamber and other cases. And every section has its own president. So it's 5 section presidents. 2 out of those 5 are also vice presidents of the court, and there is only one president.
Can you give us more info about what is this section about, every one of the 5 sections?
Mm-hmm. So there are 9 or 10 judges in each section, and they examine cases from the countries where judges sitting in that section come from. For example, Greece, your compatriot, he sits in the 3rd section. He has just been elected president of the 3rd section. So all Greek cases will go to the 3rd section. For example, Slovenia is in the 1st section, so all Slovenian cases will go to 1st section.
Let me go back now. I decide that I want to come to Strasbourg, as I said, either directly, me myself, or with the assistance of a lawyer. And then, as you said, you are filtering the cases, and 90% of the cases, thousands of them, tens of thousands of them, are coming every year to this building. You have the help of your secretariat, your assistants, etc. And then you decide that you are going to discuss a case. You discuss it in this area, in this place where we are? Is this an open discussion? The hearing is open to everybody, to the public, to those who are interested, to the lawyers of those who are supporting the case, and what the countries do, because the case is against the country. And is the country being represented here by a lawyer of its country?
In any case which is communicated to the parties, so some 5% of all cases coming to the court, both parties then actively participate, but normally through written procedure. And there, for example, the respondent government, they send their observations, their submissions through their agent. They can hire a lawyer or have a specific service in their country representing them before the European Court of Human Rights. Then, in some cases, we also organize a hearing. This is true for, I think, all Grand Chamber cases, with very, very few exceptions, but there are very few such hearings a year. Only 10 cases reach the level of Grand Chamber per year, approximately 10.
Okay, it looked complicated. You made it more simple now, and I want to thank you for this. But let me ask you one more question. How much time, how long is the procedure for a case? Either it is a simple one or a more complicated one. The minimum and the maximum?
Well, those cases which are dealt with at the level of a single judge, this usually goes quite quickly. In a matter of months, the decision is taken. If it takes more time, then if it's more complex, if it goes through further stages, it takes more time. So sometimes for the applicants, if it takes long, it's good news. So it's not resolved, it's not thrown out of the system very quickly. And then, if it's, we have the so-called impact strategy, where we eye for cases which really matter and change profoundly the legal system of a given country or even Europe as a whole. There we try to push forward and resolve matters as quickly as possible, but hardly one can do it in less than 2 years.
I have heard in my country that lawyers sometimes look for postponing their cases, and it helps them. But does it works here? Do you postpone cases, or since you start to examine a case, you have to give an end either within months or years?
We rarely adjourn cases, but sometimes it happens, for example, that a draft is prepared for deliberation by judges, and we deliberate separately in secrecy so that nobody else is present, the parties are not there, they do not hear us speaking about the case and our views on the matter. And there sometimes, or if the matter is very complex, quite often we need to adjourn and rediscuss the matter later.
What is the relation you have with the national judges? I mean, do they accept your verdict? Do they like that they have to be judged from another court which is based in Strasbourg?
They like to be judged whenever we find no violation. When we say they got it right, they are very happy.
But when you find violation,
when we find a violation, they are not that happy. But beyond this, we do try to engage in dialogue with national courts and have them by our side, because it's them first applying the convention and the
Yes.
rights in their legal system. They are the first protectors of human rights and fundamental freedoms on the national level. So we see them as our allies and not as our adversaries. But of course, if
I hope they
got it
see
wrong,
you the same.
I hope so too. There are, of course, for them sometimes unpleasant news from
Yes.
Strasbourg, but they need to live with it. And they do understand in a rule of law, well-educated rule of law judge knows that if he or she got it wrong, he needs to take a bitter pill.
That brings me to the next question, execution of your decisions.
Mm-hmm. The court normally is not directly involved in the execution of our judgments. It's rather the Committee of Ministers on your side of the
Yes,
canal overseeing this. However, the court has plays a role in one way or the other already at the level of adopting our judgments. We should write in a way that the respondent state will understand what went wrong and how they should rectify it. Sometimes we give very clear indications under Article 46 on what needs to be done domestically. And then, of course, it's the Committee of Ministers overseeing
Yes.
how this goes domestically.
There are cases like the one I remember some years ago with the royal family, the ex-royal family of Greece, and the late King Constantine had asked from this court to decide for his property. Mm-hmm. So there are cases that might bring political earthquakes, let's say. Do you remember, do you recall in your mind such a case in your career here?
Oh yes, very many such cases. Say each and every country has its own sensitive topics, and it's quite a bitter pill for them to swallow when we find violation. Yeah?
President Bošnjak, thank you, President of the Court of Strasbourg, of the Court of Human Rights. Thank you for receiving us in this place and for giving so important information in this round table discussion with the President of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. It was really a pleasure and honor to exchange. It's very fundamental for us to make our mission known also through such channels as yours. Thank you so much.